Don, I first just want to thank you for scheduling this meeting today and for being here and that you're able to discuss some concerns that you've been having with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know by now how frustrated I am.
Yep. I just want to get a understanding of why you are here today. In the phone message that you left me, you said you had a couple concerns. One being that you're not seeing progress or gains at home in Kyle's speech and language abilities. And the second being that you're a little fearful of him transitioning to preschool and making friends there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I made that pretty clear in my message.
I just want to make sure that we're on the same page and that we have no misunderstandings and I'm not missing any information. Is there anything missing?
No, you got it.
Okay, well, I'm really glad that we are on the same page. And I'm seeing two separate problems here. Like I just said, one being the friends and one being the gains that you are not seeing. And I see them as two separate problems. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, which is kind of why at this point I want a new therapist.
Okay. And I really want to work through these problems with you and explore all our solutions, which, may be that Kyle does need to see a new therapist. However, I don't want to jump there just yet, and I'm hoping that you will explore some options with me.
I mean, at this point, I am willing to try anything just to help my kid out.
Yep. Donna, you said at this point, can you go a little further? Like, what do you mean by at this point?
I don't see him making any changes at home. And, I mean, I'm scared about him, his friendships. I'm scared that he's not going to have friends, lots of friends, and people aren't going to like him. And I'm just not seeing the changes that I want.
Mm-hmm. And can we just turn our attention really quick to your fear of Kyle not making friends? You mentioned the word scared. Now, that is a natural feeling for any parent, especially transitioning to a new school. I mean, with my own children, I have fears of them making friends when they try a new sport or they transition to high school. Mm-hmm. It's a natural thing that parents do go through, typically or not typically developing children.
Yeah, I never really think of other parents as having, those fears also.
Mm-hmm. And you also had mentioned that Kyle doesn't have any friends, and you kind of said he doesn't have many friends. Are there some people that he does like to hang out with outside of school or?
Yeah, he has friends. I make play dates quite often just to try to help him.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Kyle has those social skills that we've talked about in the past that will allow him to continue these friendships and make new friends at preschool.
Yeah.
Because he is making friends.
Yeah, and I think that he is a great kid.
Yeah, and there are some support groups throughout the community with other parents who have children with communication disorders. Mm-hmm. And those are some options that we could explore together to find some extra support and resources for you to connect with.
Okay, support groups. I'm not really familiar, what are my options?
Yeah, great. I'm glad you're asking these questions. There's some support groups throughout the community that meet, and sometimes they do little field trips for their children, and the other kids in the support group also have communication disorders. So there's a chance to connect and share your concerns and to share therapy options and stuff like that with other parents out in the community.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great, but I'm still not happy with therapy. Friends will not make his disorder disappear.
Yes, and I'm really glad that you're acknowledging the fact that Kyle does still need therapy because I do agree with you. But I just want to ask, are there any changes in Kyle's speech and language abilities that you have noticed throughout the past year?
At home? No, I don't.
How about out in the community?
Well, I mean, last week when he was at Grandma's house, she said there were 5 words that she could understand. And, yeah.
That is just fantastic. How about with you? Do you ever have times in the car ride where you're like, wow, or...
He was telling me about Blue's Clues the other day. I mean, I guess I didn't think about it, but I could understand him and, got the gist of his conversation.
And that is so awesome that you and other people are able to recognize even the smallest gains that Kyle's making, because that is just awesome. And you know what? I'm noticing those gains in therapy too. And I would actually like to show you something that I pulled off my computer that I have. This is Kyle in therapy 2 years ago, and this is where he is today. And look at those gains. And it may not be the greatest gains, but those small gains, those little things.
Yeah.
That you may be seeing on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when it's laid out like this for me, I do see that there is some obvious progress.
Yeah, and this is something that I can send home with you weekly or
Yeah.
monthly. Kind of have a tangible thing of just seeing those small gains that we are making here in therapy.
Right. And yeah, that'd be great. I just, I still feel like he's doing stuff in therapy, and I just still don't see it at home.
Right. And therapy is a long process, sometimes longer for other kids, and sometimes we will see changes in clinic or in therapy with the clinician that aren't generalizing or the children are not doing at home, and it could be on the therapy environment or the demands or expectations that the clinician has of the child that are not at home.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying my expectations aren't realistic or good enough? Is that, that's kind of what I'm getting?
Oh, yeah, no, my apologies, Donna. Sometimes just the setting, it can be a little more formal than at home. Kids want to go home from being at school all day, and they just want to relax. They don't want to do the work. They want to be with mom. Mm-hmm. And, they come to the clinic, they're just so used to work, and my expectation is for them to consistently work, and they're comfortable performing those harder language or speech demands with me and not necessarily bringing those home with them.
Yeah, and, that does make sense. As a parent, though, I want to know that what I'm doing is working and seeing it now.
I can understand where you're coming from, absolutely. And I have the same wants and needs for Kyle. I want him to progress, and I want him to be intelligible. But again, it takes time. But even like you said, we're noticing those small changes. Grandma was able to understand 5 words, and he was able to tell you about Blue's Clues. Let's think back to a year ago when Kyle would not be able to communicate with with you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Donna, can you think of 3 strengths of Kyle?
He's not shy. He's social. He has a good sense of humor, and I think he's a very, well-behaved, good kid.
I would absolutely agree with those, and I'm seeing those in therapy and when he's in the classroom with other children. And we're using some of those strengths in therapy to make those gains. Yeah. And you can too at home. And just recognizing and highlighting those strengths are going to let him succeed and make those friends next year.
Yeah. It does seem like you really care about what's going on here, and he does like his speech class. I like these reports, and this is something that I need from you.
Absolutely.
And if that is something that you and I can work together on, then, he can stay with you.
Yes, and I do appreciate you coming to talk to me, and I want to keep this communication line open.
Yeah.
And we can send these homes. You have all my contact information, and I'm here for Kyle, and you're here for Kyle, and as a team, I think we can really heighten what we've been doing.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for meeting with me.
Yeah.